more of these deep breaths with an emphasis on that deep, long, slow inhalation. Really drawing in that fresh oxygen into your body. And then that slow release of your exhalation. 2 more times at your own pace. Connecting to your sense of your inner peace this morning. Place of pause. A place of love that dwells inside of you. And then you can return to your natural breath. And take a moment to notice how you're feeling this morning. Honoring whatever arises naturally is your truth in this moment without wanting to judge or change it. And then let's place our hands together at our heart center, Anjali Mudra. Fingertips pressing evenly together, thumbs connecting us to our heart center. And we're going to move some sound through our voices and our bodies this morning with the sound of Om, 3 times together. Let's take a deep breath in together. And you can release your hands and slowly open your eyes. I'm going to share just a short story. I've been reading this Braving the Wilderness book by Brené Brown. And she shares a story when she was going to be giving a talk with Dr. Halifax, who's a Buddhist teacher and a Zen priest and an author on Buddhism. They met together for rehearsal for their evening talk. And Brené says, I'm white, but I guess it's off to the meet and greet. You know, they had to go socialize. And Dr. Halifax looked at her and said, I'm going to my room to rest for tonight. Why don't you do the same? Brené said, well, that sounds great, but I feel bad saying no. And Dr. Halifax says, tonight we will exhale and teach. Now it's time to inhale. There is the in-breath and there is the out-breath. And it's easy to believe that we must exhale all the time without ever inhaling. But the inhale is absolutely essential if you want to continue to exhale. So that's what we're going to focus on this morning, is lots of long, slow inhalations, long, slow exhalations, but really this emphasis on refilling our bodies, refueling ourselves. And so we'll do that slowly and mindfully this morning. So we're going to make our way onto our feet. You can move your props off of your mat. And we'll begin with our wake up practice to get all the meridians flowing in our bodies so the health of our organs are feeling recharged. So we'll find our collarbones And we'll drop down an inch below, right into those hollows there. And we'll be breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth for this practice to release any excess stress from our bodies. Now we're going to thump here on our skin, or you can come out and thump on your energy field if that's not comfortable. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. So those deep inhalations rise from the belly up through the bottoms of your lungs, tops of your lungs, and then exhale out through the mouth. Two more times. Inhaling through the nose, out through the mouth, sending a message to all of your meridians. Wake up, clear any blocked energy this morning, clearing the way for health. Let's do one more breath for good measure. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. Let's find one or two hands right at the center of our sternum bone, at the center of our chest, pumping here on our thymus gland. This is a direct entry into our immune system. So we're sending a message to say, be strong, be vigilant, protect us from any outside invaders that won't benefit our lives. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time, sending love to your immune system. Good. Let's find the side seams of our body, come to our sides of our low ribs, and we'll thump here on our spleen meridian points. Our spleen is our eternal nourisher of our body, digesting our life experiences, emotions, and thoughts. Continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Two more breaths. Good. Shake off your hands toward the ground. Find your cheekbones directly under your pupils and thump here on your stomach meridian points, sending grounding energy down through your body and into the earth, calming the vrittis of the mind or the monkey mind. One more cycle of your breath. Relax your arms to your sides, close your eyes, and observe what you're feeling as we pause here in silence for a few breaths. We'll continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And let your eyes open. And we're going to march in place, tapping our hand to our thigh. You can go as slow, as quick as you would like. And then we're gonna pause. Shake off our hands, and without having to think too hard, take the opposite hand to the opposite thigh. Gaze is out in front of you. This is a good work of balance. One more cycle of your breath. Good, and then slowly come to a pause. Place your hands right out in front of your pubic bone, just a couple inches out into your energy field. We're going to seal into our bodies and minds an affirmation this morning. And I'm going to offer this one. I step forward with courage and trust. I step forward with courage and trust. As you bring that into your mind, you're going to inhale your hands up the center line of your body. Turn your hands out at your mouth. Exhale your arms up and right back in front of your hips again. 3 more times at your own pace. At the end of your exhale, place one finger at your third eye between your eyebrows and one finger at your navel. Press in, pull up, 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Aligning you to your center this morning and balancing your emotions. Good. Release your arms. Take a moment to notice how you're feeling. And then just give your body a little shake out. Let's find our fingers right at the center of our forehead. So our pinkies are right over our eyebrows. We're going to inhale and pull out our fingers to our temples as we exhale. We'll slide our hands behind our ears like we're tucking a hair behind our ears. We'll slide our hands down the sides of our neck, come to the tops of our shoulders and squeeze our shoulders. You can massage, just breathe it as natural. And then slide your hands down and rest them one on top of each other over your heart center, calming your nervous system. We'll do that again. Take your fingers to the center of your forehead. Inhale, press out to your temples. Exhale, sweep your hands behind the ears, down the sides of your neck, squeeze your shoulders, and then bring your hands resting over your heart center. Now we'll bring our fingers up to, so our pinkies are right at the hairline of our head. And we're going to pull apart 2 to 3 inches from the center of our scalp down to the sides of our head. And we're just going to work our way back, coming from the center of our crown down to the sides of our skull, releasing tension in these muscles that hold our skull and our brain. And we're just pulling apart, releasing tension all the way down to the neck, pulling apart at the back of the neck, all the way down to the tops of the shoulders. Give a squeeze. Slide your hands to the chest, and now we're going to pull apart in between each of the ribs. There's the intercostal muscles. We're just going to pull apart our rib cage here, clearing any tightness that's preventing us from breathing freely. We'll go all the way down under our low ribs. Slide our hands now to our back. So our thumbs are on either side of our spine. And we're going to massage as far back as you can reach. Maybe you can only reach a little ways back. So just wherever your hands can go, you're going to massage deeply, inhaling through the nose, out through your mouth, all the way down your spine on either side on the muscles, all the way down to your tailbone. You're going to come right to the center of your buttocks and give a massage there. Then you're going to come up and sweep your hands down your back 3 times. Good. And then just shake it out. All right. And feeling a little more woken up. Okay, let's stand in mountain pose. Feet are right under our hips. And let's bring our hands to our heart center. Inhale and stretch your arms up overhead. Reach toward the heavens. Exhale your hands back to heart center. 3 more times with your breath. Waking up your shoulders. Awakening your heart this morning. Now we're going to go into yogic breathing, which is in through our nose and out through our nose. Good. On your exhale, pause here, hands to heart center. Then let's bring our arms back up overhead. We're going to find a hand clasp, so the pointer fingers clasp together. We're going to root more firmly down through our feet, draw tone up our legs, up our core, belly, all the way up through our fingers. Then we'll inhale deeply, and we'll exhale and side bend to our right. And our hips are going to move to our left. And we're just pulsing here. So you could come out of the side bend on your inhale. Exhale, side bend a little deeper. All the while, your left foot is rooted into the mat. One more breath cycle, opening up your left lung this morning. Good. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, side bend to the other side, hips moving to your right. Again, you can pulse. You don't need to dive in too deep yet. Just opening the tissue around your side ribs and lung. Good. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, let your arms slowly float down to your sides. Bring your arms behind you and find a hand clasp. If that's not comfortable, just bring your hands to your back pocket. Either way, your your shoulder blades are moving in toward each other. With the hand clasp, your arms will slowly straighten and move away from your body. Hands on the hips, keep working your elbows toward each other, lifting through your sternum. Breathe. You have the option to stay right here or to bend your knees and bring your chest onto your thighs. This is the deeper stretch. If you don't feel free to breathe down there, stay upright and keep working the movement of your shoulder blades on your upper back. 2 more breaths. Good. Inhale and slowly rise up and then release your clasp and give your shoulders a little shake and roll. Okay, let's come to the top of our mats, and if you have blocks, go ahead and place those in front of your feet. And if you like a knee pad, you'll set that up at the center of your mat. Give us a little bit of block puller action. No more rain clouds. All right, so let's stand in mountain pose. Hands come to heart center. Take a moment to ground your feet down into the earth, to rise up through your heart and spine. Shoulders soften back. Remember those deep, long inhalations. Inhaling, stretch your arms up overhead, upward hands. Exhale, let your knees bend. Bring your hands to your blocks or the mat. And let your head and spine release toward the ground. Let's come up halfway now on our inhale and bring our hands either to the blocks or hands to shins. Inhaling, thigh bones back, spine is long. Exhale, let your knees bend and release your spine and head. 2 more times with your breath. Inhaling, come up halfway, legs are straight. Exhale, bend the knees and release your spine. 1 more time. Inhale, lift and lengthen your spine. Exhale, release your spine. Now take a hold of your elbow tips. Make sure your knees are bent. This is not about your hamstrings right now. This is about your hips, spine, releasing tension in your shoulder girdle. Letting go. If you want to shake your head, no. Nod your head, yes. Good. Then place your hands on your blocks if you're using them. Step your right foot back behind your knee pad. So your front knee is stacked over your ankle, and slowly lower your right knee down. So we're going to do that movement a few more times with the control of our core. So just let your navel move in and up toward your sternum for that nice tone in the belly. And we're going to inhale and slowly pick our back knee up, straighten our leg, reach out our back heel. On the exhale, we'll slowly lower our back knee to the mat. And we're going to go right back in. Inhale, draw the back knee up, straighten the leg, reach out your heel. Exhale, slowly lower your knee down. And you could do this as slowly as you need to, a couple more times with your breath. All the while, your spine is elongated. So we're just slowly picking the back knee up and then lowering it down with mindfulness. The next time your knee comes down, let's let it stay there. And we'll come into our kneeling lunge. So with your blocks under your shoulders, let your shoulders reach up toward your ears and then slide down your back. Hands can stay on your blocks here. We're looking for an opening in our hips and the length of our spine. Maybe your hands would like to come to your hips, hugging your inner thighs in toward each other to create stability. If you don't have high blood pressure, you can take the arms up overhead. So you decide, where does it feel most stable for me so I can receive those deep inhalations. Relaxing the shoulders away from your ears. And on your next exhale, hands come back to your blocks. Use your core to slowly draw your back knee up and a step forward. Second side, left foot takes a big step back in its own lane. Front knee is stacked over your ankle. Again, we're just going to slowly lower our knee down, let it graze the mat or knee pad, and then we're bringing the knee up and straightening the leg, reaching out our back heel. You're doing this at your own pace with your breath. Your front knee does not move past your front ankle. If it is, just take a little wider stance so the back foot can slide back a little bit more. Then let your back knee find its way to the mat. Pause here. Blocks are under the shoulders. Ground through your front foot. Reach your shoulders up toward your ears and then slide them down your back. Put a tone in your belly. Hands can stay on the blocks. Hands perhaps would like to come to the hips or arms overhead. Stability comes through the front foot and the inner thighs, hugging with muscle energy toward each other. Fluid breaths. One more cycle. Deep inhalation. Exhaling out. Hands come back to your blocks. And we're going to transition to all fours. So you can take your time, bring your hands to the mat, knees on the knee pad. Hands are spread wide and the weight is in the ball of your hands. Knees are under your hips. Putting a tone in your low belly. And then let's just take one moment to look at our elbows. We don't want to lock our elbows in this position. We want a micro bend. And the eyes of our elbows are turned toward each other like they're looking at each other. Yeah, good. And you can always option to take fists if you need to. Okay, so on our inhale, we're going to press the mat away, draw our tailbone under, round each vertebrae so our chin comes up toward our chest last. On our exhale, We release our tailbone up toward the sky, our belly softens, and our chest radiates forward. Inhaling, arching our spine, cat pose. Exhaling, hammocking our spine into cow pose. Who doesn't want to think about a hammock these days? These dog days of summer. Want to move mindfully, slowly, and we want to make sure that we're doing these kinds of cooling practices to just cool down the excess heat in our bodies and to release it out so that we don't get sick in early fall with those colds and things. One more time through each movement. And then pause in a neutral spine. Bring the tops of your toenails onto your mat and walk your hands out a little bit further, like one hand length in front of where your hands just were. We're going to inhale and shift our shoulders over our wrists, and on our exhale, our hips are going to reach back and down toward our heels, child's pose. Follow your breath. Inhale deeply. Shift your weight forward. Shoulders are on the wrists. Heart is open. Exhale. Hips back and down. Child's pose. 3 more times at your pace. Bringing lubrication to your hip sockets. Opening up your low back. On your exhale, your hips come back and down toward your heels for child's pose, and we're going to stay in this pose. If you need a block under your forehead, then you can grab that. We're going to stack our hands on top of each other, and the top hand will be flipped over, palm facing up. Your forehead is going to rest in your palm as you take 5 belly breaths. On your next inhale, slowly rise back up to all fours. Knees are back under your hips. Toes can tuck under if that's available. If not, keep your toenails rooted into your mat and hug your inner heels toward each other so you have stability in your legs and support in your knees. So we're going to take our cat-cow now side to side in a crescent moon shape. So you're going to let your spine undulate side to side in a non-linear movement. Breathing along the way. And then switching directions with your crescent shape. And then pause in a neutral spine. Reach your right hip back toward your right heel. Left hip comes around toward your left heel. And then chest comes forward between your arms for hip circles. So you're moving with your breath and with a mindfulness around your knee joints. What will help protect them is the pressing down of your toenails, or if your toes are tucked under, the gripping of the backs of your toes. And then you can switch directions, bringing fluidity into the tissues of our body. breaking out of any old patterns. One more time, around. Good, then come to a pause in a neutral spine. And we're going to lower ourselves onto our bellies. So if you want to put your blanket right under your pelvis, so you have a little padding, you can do that. And once you arrive onto your belly, you're going to reach one leg long at a time out of your hips. So the legs are in train tracks, directly behind the hips. Stack your hands on top of each other. Top hand is turned up. And then rest your forehead on your hands. Rock your hips side to side. Letting go of any tension in your body and calming and resetting your nervous system. And then pause in stillness for 3 breaths. On your inhale, you can let your head lift up so you can slide your hands under your shoulders. Elbows are straight back and hugged in toward your rib cage. Toenails press into the earth. Draw tone up your toes to your legs, to your buttocks, and then tone your low belly. We'll come into low cobra pose. So as you inhale, your shoulders move away from your mat, your upper back tones, and then your head, spine, and chest lift off of the mat, and your pelvis is pressing down. 3 to 5 breaths here. Back body tone, front body glistening open. As you're ready to exhale and lower down, reach your heart forward, stack your hands, rest your forehead, and rock your hips side to side. And then pause in silence for 3 breaths. Again, we'll come back into low cobra pose that we just did, second time. So our hands are spread wide under our shoulders, elbows are straight back. Our toenails are pressing into the earth. We're drawing tone up our legs to our buttocks, our low belly tones, our heart, spine, and head lift. There's no weight in our hands right now. It's all in our legs and back body to lift our hearts. 3 to 5 breaths. Deep inhalation, spreading into your back body. When you're ready to lower down, reach your heart forward, stack your hands, rest your forehead and rock your hips side to side. And then come and pause in stillness for 3 breaths. Lift your head slowly, tuck your toes under, bring your hands under your shoulders. Slowly press yourself up to your knees. Reach your hips back toward your heels for extended puppy pose. So you can also keep your hips right above your knees and stretch your spine out. Come onto your fingertips, rest your head on a prop or the mat. If your hips can reach further back, if you have more flexion in your knees and hips, then they can go toward your heels. 3 deep breaths, long inhalations, breathing into your spine. Inhale and slowly come on up, and we're going to transition onto our backs. So what I'd like you to have is, well, if you'd like a head and neck support, you'll grab your blanket or a pillow under your head. And then I'd like you to have a block or a bolster that's nearby you. We won't use them quite yet, but just have it accessible. How we doing? Great. How we doing online? Thumbs up. All right, everybody still with me? Hey, Jerry. All right, let's come on to our backs, the moment we've been waiting for. I know I have. All right, so when we arrive on our back, let's set up our feet hip distance apart. And our feet are walked in toward our buttocks so that our knees are stacked over our ankles. We might have to look side to side to see if that's what's happening, if we're not sure. Okay, let's begin in moving bridge pose. So this is a great practice to work with this long inhalation, okay? So as you inhale from your belly, you'll let your arms reach up toward the sky and then down, either on the floor or near the floor. Your hips rise up and your back body tones, bridge pose. Then you'll exhale, slowly lower your spine, your arms and your hips back down, arms to the side. Follow your breath. Inhale, your hips lift up with tone in your glutes, hamstrings, and back. Exhale, the spine releases and the arms come to your sides. You're following your breath. See if you can inhale from your tailbone, the depths of your abdomen. Really draw breath up from there to your collarbones. Then let your collarbones, heart, and then belly soften as you exhale. These are just refinement pieces you can try on if they resonate for you. One more time. Inhaling, hips rise up, bridge pose, arms overhead. Exhaling, lowering down. Let's come back into the bridge pose now, but we're going to add refinement pieces. So make sure your shoulders are tucked, one and then the other, underneath you, so your shoulder blades come together flat on your upper back. And now your lungs have lifted toward the sky. As you inhale, you'll root through your feet, lift your hips up, making that straight line from your knees to your neck again, bridge pose. The back body is toned. Your hands can press down into your mat, or you can find a hand clasp under your body. Five breaths here. Relax your buttocks a little bit. Let your back and your hamstrings do more of the tone. And feel the openness on your front body as you extend out your knees and reach them towards the end of your mat. On your next exhale, release the hands, lower your vertebrae, bend your hips to the mat. Walk your feet apart, let your knees rest on or near each other in constructive resting pose for 3 full breaths. And let your knees come apart so they're over your ankles again. Walk your feet to the wide edges of your mat. Your arms can go straight out to your sides like wings on the floor, or your arms can go overhead and rest on or near the floor. Whatever feels best for your shoulders. Ground your heels down into your mat and pick your toes off the earth so your ankles are flexed. Inhale deeply and then exhale your knees to the right. Roll onto the edges of your feet, windshield wiper stretch. Breathe in fully. Exhale completely. Inhale your knees back up. Exhale them to the left side. So go into especially your top hip and let it go. Let it release any tightness by moving the knee down and in toward the floor. Inhale the knees back up. Exhale them to the right. Inhale up. Exhale to the left. And inhale up and back over to the right. Pausing here. Take a hold of your left wrist if your arms are overhead. Gently stretch your arm away from your left hip. 3 breaths here, letting your knees move towards the ground. Inhale, release your wrist. Float your knees up. Exhale your knees to the left. The top inner thigh, so the right inner thigh, moves in and down. So you're sticking out your right buttock a little more so the left hips are level. Take a hold of your right wrist. Stretch your arm away from your right hip. 3 belly breaths. Release your wrist. Draw your knees up. Let your knees fall again to the right side. Take a hold of your left wrist. Stretch it away from your left hip. You have the option this time to deepen this stretch by adding your right heel onto your left thigh. So now you're really targeting your left outer hip and IT band. You can slowly bring your left wrist over your head to the right for a deeper side bend. On your next inhale, bring your arm back straight and release the wrist. Bring your right foot to the mat and float your knees up. Over to the left side. Take a hold of your right wrist, stretch it away from your right hip, and then guide it over to the left, over your head, Option to add your left heel onto your right thigh. Sending love to your right hip, releasing tension. Bring your arm back straight. Release your foot and wrist. Draw your knees up and let your arms come to your sides. Walk your feet in hip distance apart and stretch your left leg onto the mat. Root your heel down into your mat. Draw your right knee into your chest with your hands behind your thigh. And we're going to target our right hip here. So as you inhale deeply, you'll press your thigh away from your chest into your hands. Straighten your leg and point out your toes. The exhalation draws your knee in toward your chest. So it's like a pump. You're inhaling your thigh bone back, straightening the leg and pointing the toes. Exhaling the knee to your chest. Pumping that synovial fluid into your right hip socket and joint so that you can walk more freely without congestion or pain. One more time, deep, long inhalation. Straightening the leg, point your toes. Exhale your knee into your chest and pause here. Flex your right foot and place your right hand on your outer right knee. Your left arm will come onto the floor straight out of your shoulder. As you inhale, you'll slowly open your right knee and hip towards the floor to the right. As you exhale, your knee comes back up to center. We're flowing with our breath. Again, inhale, open your right hip and knee towards the floor to the right. Exhale to center. Now here's the key to this movement is that your left sitting bone and left heel never leave the mat while you're opening the right hip. That will keep your sacrum stable. One more time. Inhale to open your hip. Exhale, come back to center. Switch hands on your knee and anchor your right arm out on the floor. Relax your left leg. Breathe in deeply. Exhale, guide your knee to the left this time. So we're coming into a twist and an outer hip stretch. Flowing here again. Inhaling your knee back up top. Exhale, guide your knee to the left towards the floor. Now, the key to this movement is that your right shoulder blade stays plugged in to your mat, deepening the release into your back. The next time that you come into the twist, let's stay here in the pose for 3 breaths. If it feels good in your head, you can turn and look toward your right hand. Bring your head back to neutral. Bring your knee back above your right hip. Stretch your leg long and slowly lower it to your mat. Second side. Left knee comes into the chest, hands behind your thigh. Flowing from your left hip. Inhale your thigh bone back. Straighten your leg and point out your toes. Exhale your knee in toward your chest. Follow your breath. How deep and long can your inhale be? Or do you rush to the exhale? One more time. Inhale, straighten your leg, point out your toes. Exhale your knee to your chest. Pause here. Flex your left foot and place your hand on your left knee. Bring awareness to your right sitting bone at the back of your pelvis and send grounding energy down the back of your leg to your heel. Your right arm is out on the floor, anchoring your right shoulder blade. Inhale, open your left hip toward the floor to the left. Exhale your knee back up to center, flowing with your breath 3 more times. And pause up top. Switch hands on your knee and anchor your left arm on the floor. Keep your left shoulder blade on your mat. Inhale deeply. Exhale, guide your knee to the right towards the floor for the low spine twist. Inhale your knee back up to center. Exhale, cross your knee to the right towards the floor for the twist. Inhale your knee back up, going at your own pace. 2 more times. When you come into the twist again, re-anchor your left shoulder blade on the mat. Turn your head to the left if that feels good in your neck. 3 full breaths here. Inhale your leg back up top. Stretch your leg out and lower it slowly to your mat. Relax your legs for a moment. Now bend one knee at a time and place your feet hip distance apart, arms to your sides. We're going to move in and out of our cobbler pose, or also called butterfly pose. So you're going to bring the soles of your feet together, heels pressing together, and your knees float apart, opening your inner groins. We're going to inhale deeply here, and then as we exhale, we'll use our core to bring our inner thighs and knees back together, feet on the floor. Inhale, open your knees, heels pressed together, come into butterfly pose, opening your wings. Exhaling your knees, inner thighs together with the use of your core. You're doing this at your own pace, moving in and out of this moving butterfly. One more time. Each movement. And then let's come into the butterfly again. We're going to hold it for 5 breaths. If you need blocks or pillows under your knees or thighs, feel free to place those there. Root your heels together, Draw tone from your outer ankle, up your outer knees to your outer hips, and then lengthen from your inner groins out your inner knees to your inner ankles. 3 more full belly breaths. Place your hands on your thighs. Slowly help your legs come back together. Walk your feet apart and rest your knees together or near each other for constructive resting pose. A nice release for your low back. And let your knees release apart. Find your block or your bolster. The block is at the flattest level, horizontally. You'll lift your hips up and slide your prop behind your sacrum at the back of your pelvis. The bottom edge of your prop comes to the bottom edge where your buttock splits into 2 halves, and your feet are hip distance apart. We'll do just a little bit of core work here. So we're going to inhale and float our right knee up above our right hip with our foot flexed. Our exhale will float our foot light as a feather back to the mat, using your core in both directions. Left side, inhale, float your left knee above your left hip. Exhale, use your core to slowly lower your foot light as a feather to the mat. We'll go on each side 5 times in total, following our breath and using our core. Now remember, the low ribs are knitted together to your hip bones. There's core support there. When you're complete, rest your feet on the mat. Okay, with your arms at your sides, make sure your hands are pressed into the mat as well as your shoulder blades so that you feel your lungs lift toward the sky a little bit more prominently. Now we're going to bring our right knee and then our left knee above our hips in reverse tabletop. Our shins are parallel to the floor and our feet are flexed. Your low ribs are moving down toward your hip bones, knitting together your core. This time we're going to inhale and dip our right heel towards the mat without touching the mat. Our exhale brings our knee back up to center. Second side, inhale, dip your left heel toward the mat, the knee stays bent. Exhale the knee back up. We'll do 5 times total on each side. The heel does not touch the mat. It's not even about getting to the mat. It's about your core control. When you've done your 5 on each side, just pause up top. You always have the option to draw your knees into your chest and take more of a break. Okay, good. So the second practice we'll do now is much like the hip opener we did on our flat on our mat. So this is called opening the book. We'll inhale and open our right hip and knee towards the floor while keeping our left leg stable. Exhale your knee back to center. Second side, inhale, slowly open your left hip and knee towards the floor. Exhale, using your core, hug your legs back together. 4 more times on each side at your own pace. And you can always take a break before the 5. Just make sure that it's your core that's doing the work and it's not just momentum of your legs. When you're complete, draw your knees into your chest. Place one foot at a time onto the mat, hip distance apart. And we're going to relax here for a little bit in supported bridge pose. So with your hips elevated like they are, it helps to move toxins into your blood supply and out of the body in this posture. So it's a good way to cleanse your liver, as well as to open your hips. And most of all, it's a way for you to relax the mind. So focus in on your breath, really drawing the deep inhalation from your low abdomen up through your ribs, your lungs, to your collarbones, all on your in-breath. Exhaling, softening your chest, your ribs, and then your belly. Continuing with this breathing cycle as you consciously let your hips release into your prop. Resting here for a minute or so. More deep, nourishing breaths. Replenishing your body with that long inhalation. We're going to transition now into supported shoulder stand. So you'll let your knees float up again over your hips in reverse tabletop, just what we were doing. Then your legs are going to reach up toward the sky, and you can have as much bend in your knees that you need, but let your heels align over your sitting bones. If this is too much for you this morning, you can always choose to rest your legs on a couch or a chair or a wall. We are going to be here for at least a couple minutes. So if anyone in the room wants a chair, just let me know, okay? Relax your jaw and your neck. Receiving the nourishment from your blood as it spreads down through your legs and hips into all the hormone centers in your body. inhalation, draw your knees in toward your chest. Those of you who are healing knee injuries or hips or feet, legs, or you just need support in calming the mind and the noise, this pose is really beautiful for that, and you can simply put your legs against the wall or rest them on a chair and stay here for longer during your day. Let's bring one foot at a time to the mat. Lift our hips up and remove our prop to the side, and then lower our hips down. Let's hug our knees into our chest. Take a gentle rock on our low back, side to side. Place your hands on your kneecaps. Separate your knees apart. Circle your knees out together and back and toward your chest, moving with your breath. Reversing directions. And hugging your knees back into your chest. Stretch one leg at a time down on your mat for Shavasana. If you'd like your bolster under your knees, you can set that up. And we're going to place one finger at our navel, one finger at our third eye, between our eyebrows. And we're going to pull in and press up for 3 deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. When you're complete, you can release your arms to your sides. And we'll rest here for a few minutes in Shavasana. Om Namah Shivaya. Gurave Sachidananda Yurtaye Lish Prapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Your breaths. Bringing ever so slowly movement into your fingers, toes, to structures of your body. Making your way eventually onto your side into fetal position, lingering there for a couple breaths. Your head comes up last as you slowly press yourself back into a comfortable seated position. Hands folded together at your heart center. Let's just take a moment to ask ourselves, how am I feeling now? And just gathering up our gratitude from our lives, just taking a moment to really honor ourselves for all that we have traversed this far in 2020, all the adapting, renavigation, resetting process that we've all been in so deeply, individually and as a collective and a community. So honor and bow your heart, bow your head toward your heart in honor, in gratitude for the divine support we have had in this process, the support of each other, our friends and family. And let's end with the sound of one Om that we send out this gratitude to our world. Inhaling deeply together. Om. Namaste to each of you.